Hello everybody, and welcome to this week's Facebook Live. It's going to be a quick 5-minute tip today. Sometimes I do longer ones, but today it's going to be a quick tip for you. We're going to quickly talk about how many carbs per day that you should be having, how to count the carbs, whether it's total or net carbs, and then I've also got a free meal plan for you, so you can go up and grab that. So I always love you to say in the comments, where are you watching from and what time it is around the world, and tell me, what is your carb limit? How many carbs do you limit yourself to? And that's what we're going to be discussing today. So I'd love to see some comments hopping in, because I can see there's a lot of you in here this morning already. So how are you all doing in these crazy times? I'd love to know. And if you've got any questions that you need me to answer, like I say, always ask them below, and I'll see if I can get to you today. But I can see a lot of you hopping on. So for those of you who haven't met me, I'm Libby, and I'm the founder of ditchthecarbs.com, Ditch the Carbs Pro, which is the membership site, and then Low Carb Practitioners. I'm a pharmacist, a health coach, and a mother of 3. So I make things as simple and easy, as practical as it can be. I don't try to make things complicated, because no one's got time for that. So like I say, let me know where you're watching from. Where in the world are you watching from today? Because normally I do this a bit earlier, but the times are kind of a bit wacky around the world. So let me know and tell me, what is your carb limit? Give me the thumbs up. We just want to see exactly where I am going live. I just want to make sure I'm going live in the actual group, in the Facebook page today. There we go. Did you count total or somebody else's? Oh, there we go. From Toronto. Excellent. Nice to see you here, Kelly. Do you count total or net? Excellent. I'm going to answer that in a minute. So that's a perfect question. So first of all, we're going to cover today is how many carbs a day you should have, whether you count total or net, and how you count. And then I'm giving you the free meal plan. And this is what I'm giving you today. If you go and have a wee look at the link is above for you. It's a 5-day kickstart. There's a meal plan. There's a oops, I can't even get that up there for you. It's a meal plan. It's a shopping list. It's a meal tracker. It's a measurement tracker. You name it, it's all there. So first of all, let's go talking about how many carbs a day. It's completely dependent on what your situation and what your health goal is. So say if you're coming from a place where you're really high carb, you have a lot of sugary things, you might only want to go to moderate low carb. And the 3 goals normally are: moderate low carb is below 100 grams of net carbs per day, low carb is considered below 50 grams of net carbs per day, and keto is considered below 20 grams of net carbs per day. So depending on what your health goals are, will depend on what you want to set your own carb limit at. Some people just find by lowering their carbs, even to moderate, to maybe 150 or even 100, that gives them immediate health benefits. Other people find that doesn't work for them, and actually they need to be a little bit stricter, and they go to 50, which is kind of the general rule most people do for low carb, and then keto is below 20 grams per day. And don't think by going lower you're going to get better and faster results, because a lot of people, it may work for you, but a lot of people find if they go too hard too fast, that's when they're always falling on and off living low carb or living keto. And I would rather you set yourself a sustainable goal and that you actually meet that every single day, than to have 5 days on and then 2 days you fall off the wagon, because that's no fun for anyone, and it really doesn't make you any progress. And so I'll run through them again. There's moderate low carb, which is below 100 grams per day. There's low carb, which is below 50, and then there's keto, which is below 20. So let me know below, what is your carb limit that you set for yourself? And let me know, where are you watching from? I love to see where everyone's watching from here. From Illinois, that's wonderful. From Adelaide and New Zealand here, excellent. It's nice to have some Kiwis in here. It's lunchtime on Friday. Yeah, and I always say this is my Friday Facebook Live, but a lot of people say it's their Thursday. Well, I'm giving you our weekend day. We're ahead of everybody. Hi from Papamar. Oh, lovely to have you here. And from Suffolk in England, crikey, you're up late. Trying to keep to 30 and below. Excellent. If that works for you, brilliant. Somebody to check this out, South Australia. Here we go. Some days 20 to 30 grams of carbs, some days less, or 0. Yeah, if you're carnivore, keto carnivore, it's very easy to get to 0, isn't it? So it's wonderful to know what carb limit you set yourself. And like I say, don't think that going harder and faster and lower is going to give you better results, because if it really isn't sustainable for you, don't do it. Be kind to yourself and go for either 50 grams a day or 100 grams a day, and do what's sustainable, because, the old tortoise and the hare, analogy, it's slow and steady wins the race, and it's progress, not perfection. All of these things, don't go too hard, too fast. So they're the 3 limits. The next thing I want to quickly talk about is net versus total carb. So total carb is your sugar, your starches, and your fiber. That's total carb. Most people deduct the fiber and they get net carbs, and that's what most people would count. Although I do know a lot of people who count total carbs when it is a processed food. So if it's some kind of processed junky low carb keto bar, they tend to count all of the total carbs because they find for them, though either fiber or some of the ultra processed things that they put in those bars, that still stops their weight loss progress or still stops their good blood sugar control. But most people just count the net carbs. So how you want to, that's the absorbable carbs, how you want to track is completely up to you. And let me know, how do you track? People either have their favorite app. There are so many apps out there which are brilliant to use and brilliant to follow. Find an app that works for you, because a lot of people will love one and they'll hate another. There are some out there, which I can't say the name. If you're in my group, you'll know which one it is, that I don't particularly like people using because there are too many user added entries. And if a user adds an entry and it's incorrect, there'll be thousands of people around the world all using the incorrect entry. Also, depending on where you are in the world, some of your nutrition labels will show total carbs, some will show net. So if you live in a part of the world that has net carbs and then that you don't know that and you deduct the fiber, your net value is going to be too good to be true. You're never going to get net carb value in a food. So just be aware of some of those apps. And if you want to know them, come into the group and I'll tell you which ones they are, because I don't want to get in trouble naming apps in public. But find an app that works for you and find an app that is easy, because if it's not easy, you're not going to do it. But if apps aren't your thing, it's absolutely fine. Get a scrappy bit of paper and just write on a bit of paper what you had for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Count how many snacks you're having. Think of where the carbs are coming from in those snacks. And drinks. Everyone thinks that drinks don't really count, and it's amazing. If you have lots and lots of coffees in the day, how much that adds up, especially if it's a milky coffee. And if you want to know a lot about that, I've done a previous Facebook Live on that. But milky coffees really do add up because of the volume of milk that is in a milky coffee compared to, say, a creamy coffee. And I haven't got my coffee cup around me, but my creamy coffee, I make it every single day. I'm never giving up my coffee, don't you worry. And so I have a creamy coffee. I have like a shot of Nespresso, top it up with hot water, and then do a splash of maybe a couple of tablespoons of cream. And it took me a while to get used to that. But a milky coffee can sometimes add up anywhere between, say, 15 and 30 grams of carbs, especially if you have one of those big, tall, milky coffees, because all the milk sugars that come from the milk in there, and it's the volume. Whereas if I do a creamy coffee, it's only maybe 2 tablespoons. And, tracking is sometimes a little bit dull and a little bit onerous, but it works. It really, really does. And whenever we have our tracking challenges inside Ditch the Carbs Pro, that's the membership, whenever we have them in there, it's always the most successful month for results and for weight loss and for non-scale victories, because people suddenly go, oh, I didn't realize I had carb creep, and suddenly all these carbs are slowly hopping back in, or I didn't realize how many carbs were in my coffee. So it's a great way to tell. If you don't like an app, like say, use a pen and paper, and the easiest way is just get your phone and just snap a picture of every single thing that you take. And even if you don't track and you don't want to calculate, at least you go, actually, I didn't realize how many snacks I had, or I didn't realize how many coffees I had, I didn't realize how many muesli bars I had. And just by literally taking a photo, everyone's got time to take a photo, and then just look at the photo, just scroll through them and go, okay, visually you've got an idea of how much you've had in the day, and maybe has something else snuck in. And if you don't want to take a photo of it, why are you eating it? So that's my little tips for you today on how to count the carbs. And then I've got, this is, like I say, this is the free meal plan I'm giving away. It's up there in the links above. That's the meal plan I'm giving you there for you. Just go and grab that, put in your details. There's a meal plan, that's it there for you. And there's a meal plan, there is a shopping list, there's the meal prep, and that's the shopping list for you. There's even a measurement tracker in there. It's all free. Just go and grab that for you, put in your emails address, and I'll see if I've got any questions coming in. And I'll quickly tell you how to start. And some says they're nocturnal. Is that why you're up in the UK? It is, because for you to be, what time is it here? It's 1 o'clock here, so it must be about 1 in the morning over there. Oh, hi from South Africa. How are you, darling? And from Ottawa and from Houston. I just track on paper. Excellent. And if that works, absolutely go for it. I always say, don't listen to what other people do what works for you, and if a scrappy old bit of paper does it, absolutely great. And if anyone does want a tracker, I've actually got a printable tracker on the website. If you look in the shop, you can see it there, but just a back of an envelope, an old shopping list, anything. But like I say, I think the phone is the easiest one today. Here we got William. All my carbs are avocado, nuts, some sugar alcohols, Greek yogurt, strawberries. It's easy to stay low carb. Been doing it for over a year now with no cheat days. I put MCT oil in my coffee, blend in the blender. Yep, great, absolutely. I track on a spreadsheet. I may look up an app, but most times use the food label. Exactly. And if you don't know what the carb value is, just Google it. And you have to take that with a bit of a pinch of salt, because sometimes you may say, for example, Google how many carbs are in chicken. And if you don't pull down the right, whether you're doing it per 100 grams or per ounce, or the chicken with the skin on, the chicken with the skin off, you just have to make sure you've grabbed the great ones. That's brilliant. No tracking, but it's the best way. Knowledge is power. Absolutely, absolutely. I say this all the time. What you choose to eat and what you choose to enjoy, or what you choose to do in your day, is completely down to your knowledge, and it's your choice to do that. But what I absolutely detest is when all these food manufacturers hoodwink you with all the fluff and wonder on the front, but when you actually read on the back, that's why I don't like low-carb bars and keto bars, because you look at the fluff and the wonder going, oh, it's got so many net carbs and it's got so many this, that and the other. But when you actually look at the nutrition label, so ignore the fluff and wonder on the front, look at the nutrition label, that's when you can see actually they say it's so many grams of net carbs, but actually they haven't added in this, they haven't added in this, and so on and so on. So absolutely, knowledge is power. And if I had never done my tracking years ago, I would never have known how my milky coffee was saboteuring all my weight loss and saboteuring me reaching goal. Whereas now I have my creamy coffee, and I enjoy sometimes 2, sometimes 3 creamy coffees a day, and it's absolutely fine. It's only like 1 gram of carb. And I'll give you my top tip: when you go out and order a coffee at a cafe, always go, and I always say, can I have an Americano with a pot of cream and a pot of hot water? Therefore, you have a wonderful, wonderful long coffee. You also top it up with hot water, and you then pour in some cream, and you generally get 2 cups of coffee for the price of one. So it's absolutely brilliant. What else have we got here? What's your opinion on Bulletproof coffee? I don't like it. Sorry to be a spoiler of it. I find some people love it, and if you're one of the Bulletproof coffee lovers, great, absolutely go for it. I have seen too many people, when their weight loss is stalled, that we look at what they're having, and they've always started the day off with a Bulletproof coffee. I would personally, if it's to curb your hunger, I would much rather curb my hunger with some protein or some eggs or some scrambled eggs and butter, something like that. But if Bulletproof coffee works for you, absolutely go for it. What I don't like about it is all these, and I'm sorry, somebody did say they love the MCT oil. I don't like all the MCT oil sellers. They're kind of snake oil sellers, a lot of them. Don't get me wrong, a lot of them. And so they go in and they spam a lot of the groups. They go in and try and make you feel like you need to buy a product, and you don't. I always say, save your money. And if you're in pro, I'm always about saving you guys money. Is don't go and buy those products. It's if you need to, like in all the ketone products, if you need those for ketone products and you have a neurological need to have ketones and you can't be in nutritional ketosis yourself, then there may be a place, but I don't particularly like them. So sorry, that's my little opinion, but absolutely go there. Absolutely buy everywhere. Absolutely. Do I ever have a cheat day? People say it helps jumpstart your metabolism. I personally don't. I like to stay on track all the time, because I don't want to go back to my junky foods that I used to be hooked on. I don't want to go, once you live low carb and you discover the health benefits, I wouldn't want to go back to the way I was. I genuinely don't want, like now, for example, I have lost the taste for bread or muffins or that kind of stodgy, cakey taste. I don't want to go back to things. If I ever go slightly off plan, I maybe overindulge in a low-carb treat or in a low-carb recipe. So now I don't really have cheat days. Some people do, and for them it makes... I never want to say there's a hard and fast rule for anyone, because if you find and I don't like to call them cheat days, because that makes you appeal or feel like you're naughty or you've done bad or you are a bad person. If you've gone off plan, or maybe you haven't hit your carb target, For some people, that's what makes it sustainable for them, thinking, you know what, if I eat 80% like I think that I would want to or that I should, then maybe by having 1 or 2 meals that are slightly off plan, that makes it sustainable. But I personally don't. But it's a good question to have, absolutely. I need one to help. It's freezing and I want to eat or drink hot drinks all day. Well, go for, hi Jane, darling, how are you, sweetheart? Just realised it's you. Go for, whether it's hot tea, whether it's hot coffee, bone broth is fabulous. Whether you can find some fruit teas, but always be aware that some of the fruit teas does contain fruit. I saw one the other day and it said fruit granules. Well, what are fruit granules? I think they mean fruit sugars. Some of them will have fruit peel, which is, or they say dehydrated fruit or dehydrated fruit juices, which are all different variations of sugar. So just be aware, just find out something that works for you. Maybe some hot soup in the winter for lunch. Find something that works for you. And like I say, bone broth is absolutely wonderful. Oh, thank you. Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. Oh, and hi, Judith. How are you, darling? I think that's about all my questions for today. So I've given you about how many carbs per day, whether you want to do moderate low carb, which is below 100, whether you want to do low carb, which is below 50, or keto, which is below 20. Like I say, choose a level that works for you long term, because this is a lifestyle. It's not, people say, well, when can I go back on carbs? It's like, well, why would you want to? Once you feel how amazing you feel when you're not off, you're not on this sugar roller coaster, and suddenly you are in control of your appetite rather than your appetite being in control of you, you don't want to go back. So decide on a level that works for you. How you track, most people track net carbs, and how you track is completely up to you, whether it's an app, whether it's a scrappy bit of a paper, whether it's your phone. Just do something that works for you. And then how you start, go stepwise. And this is exactly how I teach in Ditch the Carbs Pro. I always have 2 levels of support. I have my free website, then I have my paid one. And if you're in Pro and you're a Pro member, this is what we do. We do absolutely stepwise. We just get you to focus on your carbs and where they're coming from to begin with. So you would cut down on where your sugary drinks are coming from. How can we replace, then remove those? We then focus on things like all your cakes and your cookies and your muesli bars, because muesli bars are just a cookie by another name. We then work on your cereals and your granola. We would then work on where all the sugar and the flour are coming from. And we do it stepwise, so don't think that this is unachievable. I won't ask you to give up your chocolate. I won't ask you to give up your glass of wine. I'm not. So there are things that we can do, and don't think this is daunting, because, most of the members that are in there, they just do this and they think, what change can I make this month? If I make one big change a month, that's 12 in a year. If I can make a tiny change every week, that's 52 changes in a year. Do what's sustainable for you and do what works for you. Because as you can see today, everyone does things different. We have different carb levels. We have different tolerance levels. We know whether you want to have clean keto or dirty keto, or whether you want to, whether you love cooking, whether you don't love cooking. We cater for absolutely everybody. And so it really, really is, it kind of caters for everybody. Oh, and Kelly, bless you, darling. One last question. I'm losing my hair. Okay, some people do that on any dietary change. If suddenly there's a rapid loss of fat and with weight, and a lot of the fat loss, some of that has also your stored hormones, so you have a hormonal change. I know my hair has gone back as thick as it has. I mean, I sometimes have to tame my messy hair. When remember when I had remember, you don't know, when I had my youngest child, my hair was so thin and pathetic, and it slowly got better as I was living low carb, as I was adding more protein in. That really makes the difference. But a lot of people, whether they're on low fat, whether they're on calorie counting, which we don't do all those, no matter what big lifestyle changes, sometimes you have a hair loss, but it does grow back thicker. It really, really does. So I hopefully, Dove, to you, make sure you're getting enough protein. That would be my biggest tip to you. Are you restricting protein? Because a lot of people make the big mistake that they should be restricting protein, and they shouldn't. So have a lot of protein. And I'm so glad I found this. Oh, bless you, Andy, your sweetheart. And Brandy, hello there, sweetheart. So like I say, go up and grab your 5-day meal plan. It's up there. It's got your meal plan, your shopping list, everything you need to know. And if you've got a friend who wants to join you, come and grab the meal list, the shopping list and the meal plan. You come onto our weekly newsletter, and I send you every single week, I'll send you a tip about, you know, one week I might send about the top 5 low carb breads you can make, or the ultimate guide to sweeteners, or how to use coconut flour and almond flour. There are so many aspects that you might need to learn. And then come into our free support group, or come in if you really want more. Come and join us in Pro. It's $1 a day, and I save you more than that every single day when I teach you how to give up your weekly coffee and your weekly muffin and daily coffee and weekly muffin and your weekly takeouts. So I want to save you time and I want to save you money. Absolutely do. But like I say, just go and grab your meal plan and let's get started, and grab a friend. It's wonderful to have you all here today, and I will see you next week in next week's Facebook Live. Okay, have a fabulous week, everyone. Okay, bye.